Imagine a property owner filling out a form on a website that says, I want to sell my property. And then you get on the phone with that property owner and you close that deal in 45 minutes to an hour. That is the life of the king closer, R.J. Bates, the third, returning for the third or fourth time on the podcast. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. Check this out. Welcome back to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. R.J. Bates, the third, the king closer. How are you?
What's going on, man?
Great to see you.
Yeah. Dude, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Great setup.
We built it for you, bro.
Rightfully so.
This is anybody that wants to come in and do an in-person podcast. It always makes it exciting.
Yeah.
And having you here is going to blow people's minds, right? So let's get into how you actually close deals this year. 2024.
Yep.
You've done it all. You've bought properties in all 50 states, right? You've negotiated with properties all over the place. You are the virtual closer, right?
Yep.
So how do we do this? If we want to just have a lifestyle business where we can do virtual wholesaling anywhere, how do we get started?
Well, everything starts with lead generation.
Yep.
Right? I mean, without leads, you don't have anything to close. Mm-hmm. So for us, it was all about outbound up until mid-2022. Mm-hmm. You know, cold calling, texting, direct mail. To me, everything's changed. Everything's gotten better because inbound leads are just at our fingertips with PPL, pay-per-lead providers. It really started for us with Speed to Lead in 2021. Yeah. They approached me after the first Closers Olympics, and they were like, you know, that Closers Olympics thing, that was a farce. You know, you need to come close real leads. We can show you. You know, they used it as like bait to get me to come in. And ever since then, we've used Speed to Lead. They were the first one that kind of opened our eyes to it. We were still doing a lot of texting, though. Yeah. Because it was expensive at first. Mm-hmm. You know, when we came in, it was like $300 to $500 a pop.
A lead,
yeah.
And how many leads per closing?
1 out of 10.
Yeah. So you're spending $3,500 to $4,000 a deal. Yeah. Yeah. And
you know, you still had 9. That's on the first dial. Mm-hmm. So you still had 9 leads to follow up with. Yeah. But I mean, it's a lot of capital, and a lot of people couldn't do it, right? Gene, the owner of Speed to Lead, he was intelligent with his marketing efforts. He's the coupon guy. Mm-hmm. So he knew, hey, a lot of people don't work on Saturdays and Sundays. He'd start running sales. And then eventually that bred competition.
Sure.
And when competition comes in, what happens? Price goes down. We've seen this. It's funny because I talk about this in the wholesaling industry. The regulations right now are going to eliminate a lot of competition in wholesaling. Mm-hmm. And what's that going to do? It's going to hurt the homeowners. What happened with PPL as soon as competition came out? Prices went down, helped us as wholesalers. And now, you know, our main 3 PPL providers are Speed to Lead, Lead Zolo, mm-hmm. and Property Leads. Mm. So those are the 3 that we're using consistently all day, every day.
What is your budget? Do you have a daily, weekly, monthly budget for it?
We do not.
Okay.
And here's the reason why. We used to, where, you know, we would set budgets. We are basing it off of the amount of volume that we have in the dispositions queue. The reason why is because dispositions takes us longer mm-hmm. and a lot more work than acquisitions. Mm. So back in the day, it used to be like our fear was we're not going to have deals.
Right.
Now our fear is we're not going to have enough manpower to dispo the deals that we acquire. So I base it off of, hey, you know, right now, today, 31 properties under contract. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the sweet spot for our team. We're kind of pressing.
How many? 31?
31.
Woo.
So that's kind of pressing.
At one time.
Yes.
And then there's got to be a rotation of that 31 each week that are closing. Is it like a quarter of them each week?
So out of the 31, 10 are assigned right now. Mm-hmm. 21 are in dispositions. That's pretty much where we always are sitting.
Is there any cancellation rate that people should be aware
of? About 30 to 35%.
Got it. Yeah. And how does that happen? You know what I mean? Like, is it just you're in new markets, you think it's a good deal, the comps look good?
Actually, funny enough, it's more because we're buying them sight unseen. So seller says, hey, it's in good condition, but it needs a rehab. Then we go out there and it's like, well, you need a roof, AC. You didn't mention foundation problems. That's big, but we always, a huge adjustment that we made probably 12, 15 months ago was setting the expectations at the end of the conversation for, we're going to come out, we're going to do a walkthrough. If everything is exactly the way that you told us it is, then we're good to close on your timeline.
Yeah.
But if it's not what you told us, then we're going to have to reevaluate price.
Got it.
So we set that expectation, helps renegotiations a lot. The other problem is title issues, right? Overcoming those. And because we are doing inbound leads, we do run into scams where it's like, you know, I did live with the owners at one point in time, so I thought I was their son, and I thought they left me the house, and it's like, no, you didn't inherit the house.
Yeah.
You know, or we ran into
send me $15K and I'll sign this quitclaim deed to you. No titles needed. Guys, don't do that. If anybody's trying to quitclaim deed a property over to you, they probably don't own it. Okay.
Yeah. Quitclaim deeds are very popular in Michigan, Mississippi, Alabama, places where it's like, yeah, I'll sell my house for $2,500.
Right.
It's like, so we've broken that down. Another pivot that we made over really, like I said, the past year, with some of the things that we do is we've broken every seller call into 4 buckets. So
Awesome.
the 4 buckets of sellers, there's 2 good, 2 bad. The 2 bad are no motivation, wrong price. That's the full retail. That's what realtors exist for. The other one is great price, no motivation. So if someone says, I'll sell you my house right now for $5,000, but they can't explain to you why they're selling the house for $5,000, that's where we really want to ask great questions, kind of dig deeper to see if they even have the rights to sell their house.
Right.
We've wasted a lot of time chasing those unicorns.
So say that again. So you've got, they've got motivation, but they want full price.
No. This one would be the 2 bad buckets are no motivation, wrong price.
Got it.
Full retail.
Yep.
Right? The next one is right price, no motivation.
Yep.
The 2 most important things we're looking for are price and motivation. So if they give us the right price, but there's no motivation, it's too good to be true.
And motivation, do you find the motivation through their timeline to sell it?
Not time. No, it's why are you selling me this house for a discount?
Right.
Like, I want to know. Is it because of financial reasons, because of a life change, because you just need the money? If they can't explain something to me and it's just, I just want to be done with it, just $5,000. Those are the ones that end up in that 30 to 35% bucket of not closing because we find out they didn't have the rights to sell. They have a huge title issue. They had a $200,000 judgment. I mean, if they're dropping a price that's ridiculously low, just right out of the gates, because that's the second question we ask is what's your asking price?
Right.
If they're giving us that price right out of the gates, then we need to ask really great questions to understand. And then the 2 good buckets are price is right, tons of motivation. That's the laydown, right?
Yeah.
The ones that everyone makes fun of me for. Oh, RJ, you're just an order taker. Yeah, well, have better lead gen and you could be an order taker too.
Listen, people don't understand. If you talk to enough people, you're going to come across unbelievable, very easy. The biggest deals, RJ, that we do on a yearly basis are the easiest deals. You can't even imagine. If you listen to the call recordings on this, they're like, yeah, give me this price and I'll move out.
Yeah.
Like, what? And it's just because we put ourselves in the position to have that conversation.
Well, you're paying for it.
Yeah.
Like, you're earning the right to have that opportunity.
Well, either we're being really proactive with outbound, right? We're calling them up and asking them if they would consider an offer, or even better is inbound. And we'll talk about the distinction between outbound and inbound and where I think people should, navigate if they're starting out. But once you start getting inbound leads of people that literally say, hey, I want to sell my house.
Yep.
Then it's just asking the questions.
Yep. And
right?
But then there's the last bucket, and it's the most common bucket. It's the bucket everyone needs to understand how to navigate.
Okay.
It's highly motivated, wrong price. This is the one where you actually have to understand how to underwrite a deal, ask questions, lean on that motivation. And the way that I phrase it is make the motivation match our price.
Yep.
Like, is that going to happen in this conversation? How do you do that? You do that through educating a seller.
Mm-hmm.
How did I come up with this number? I just recorded a video about our wholesalers lowballers. No, we're not, or at least we shouldn't be. We should be able to sit down and go through all of the numbers on the deal and explain directly to the seller why we're coming up with the offer that we're coming up with.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, then there's probably a problem with your underwriting process. But when we talk to those sellers, that is where you need to live in those conversations. Those are going to be the 20, 30, 40-minute long conversations, and maybe even 2 or 3 conversations just to get them to really understand why they need to come to the price that they need to come to.
Yeah, we look at speed, convenience, price, and the seller gets to pick 2.
Yep.
So what do you want? Do you want speed and convenience? Great. Here's the price to make it as fast and as easy as possible, right? We can buy it as is, sight unseen sometimes, right?
Yep.
We can inherit tenants. We could give you a post-possession. We can do all these things that you can't get from a traditional sale.
Right.
But it has to be at our price.
But what was all that you just said? All of those solutions that you offered were solutions to motivation.
Sure.
Those are all things that are pain points that the seller is going through that says, yeah, I'll sell my house for a discount. Okay, well, does your pain match my price?
Right.
If it does, then we're a match made in heaven and we can move on. And you have to educate them on what that means, though. If you just come out and you say, oh, well, you want this and my price is $150,000, take it or leave it, it's probably not going to work out.
Right.
They don't understand how you came up with that number.
Well, also in the discovery process, and you do a fantastic job of this, guys, if you want to see how it's done by a true master, go to your YouTube channel, RJ Bates, and check it out. I mean, you have countless videos of you literally talking to property owners, but there's discovery about the person.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, when we're
You got to find the pain.
When we're going through this process, I mean, the first 3 questions are the exact same almost every single conversation. Do you want to sell? Yes. How much do you want? They give you a number because no one asks right out of the gates. So every time I do it, they just give it to me and then tell me a little bit about what's going on. And it's not about what's going on with the property. It's just tell me a little bit about what's going on. And then the next thing you know is when you ask that open of a question, the discovery of their life. I mean, sometimes I'll ask that question and 8 minutes later, I know that they're getting divorced, how many kids they have, how long they've been married, what their financial status is, how much credit card debt they have, and this is why they need to sell their house and they need to walk away with $30,000 to pay off that debt so you can move on with their life.
Yep.
And it's like, I asked one question. It's very easy when you are asking open-ended questions and you stay out of the way and you don't make the conversation about yourself.
Well, that's what people think. People think that you're going in, talking 90% of it, giving them all this razzle-dazzle and all these secret, scripts that you pull out of nowhere, and you're putting them into this little corner where they have to sell the property to.
Right.
It's absolutely not true.
Yeah, it was funny. I was at Ryan Pineda's event a couple of weeks ago, and I was on a panel, and for whatever reason, people like to put me on panels and then decide without telling me we're going to role play on stage.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Role play? This is awkward.
Yeah.
So we're up there. The guy says, all right, King Closer, you bring the belts. Let's role play. And he says, hello, this is Brian. You looking to sell? Yeah. How much you want for it? $1 million. And the subject property was Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
And I said, what's your email?
Yeah.
And he goes, that's it? And I said, well, yeah. I mean, you're selling me Caesar's Palace for $1 million. At some point in time, we have to understand that we don't have to make this as complicated as we have made it out to be. And the more that I simplify this down for our team, for our community, the more deals I see get closed. I talked to you about this the other day. I mean, our team average age is 21 years old. They don't know any better. They're just like, dude, you made it so simple. Just come in here, ask some questions, and listen. And the whole time we're doing that, we're underwriting the deal. But the big difference is going back to that original lead generation. We weren't able to do that when we were texting and cold calling.
Right.
There was a lot of, how did you get my information? Why are you reaching out to me?
Convince me.
Yeah. Why are you wanting to buy my house?
Yeah. And that's what happens when we start out. We don't have a budget to spend $50 to $400 a lead,
right,
from LeadZolo, from iSpeed to Lead, from PropertyLeads.com.
Yep.
All phenomenal. I've used every single one of them. We currently are working with Property Leads here in Phoenix. Great return on investment, not a tremendous amount of leads, but the leads that come in, we do close. Phenomenal. But these are people saying, hey, I want to sell my property, right? Yeah. So then they're coming to us as opposed to us reaching out to them, which that's how I started out. Yeah. I was just calling all the properties that needed renovation, asking them if they would consider an offer. So you're going to deal with a tremendous amount of, well, convince me. Totally different conversation than somebody that went on their phone or a keyboard and typed in their information, hey, I want to get an offer on my property.
So I will say, I do not change anything about how I talk to sellers if it's a cold call.
Okay.
Now, people struggle with this.
You mean once you get the lead?
No.
So you're going to call somebody up and just be like, hey.
If I were to call you
yes,
right now.
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue.
All right.
Hey, Brent.
Yep.
Are you looking to sell your property on 44th Street?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. How much do you want for it?
I don't know. You called me.
So you're not looking to sell it, or you are?
Well, I mean, if I get the right price.
Okay. Well, let me know if you have a price, and I'll call you back.
Right. And you're off.
I mean, because my thing is if we go anywhere else in this world and we want to buy something, there's a price tag attached to it. The only time, and even in retail, there's a price tag attached to it.
Yeah.
It's only our industry, off-market, direct-to-seller, where we feel like it's taboo to ask for an asking price.
Yeah.
Why?
So you just ask how much you want for it?
Yeah.
Just like that?
Yes.
And they go, I don't know. You tell me. Like, I don't know.
I mean, there's when they say that, there's two ways you can take it.
Right.
You could do the ultimate pull away, which is what I just did.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the chances are, if you say that, you're not that motivated. So what did I find out? I already know that you're not motivated, and I don't have a price. The two most important things. I don't have either one. See you later. Okay? If I pull away and you have motivation, you're going to chase after me. You'll be like, oh, okay, 100,000.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk. Okay? The other way that you can handle this, and this is probably better for the people that are struggling and on a budget, okay, is to carry on and say, okay, well, tell me a little bit about what you got going on. Find out if there's pain and motivation, and then if there is, then revisit price after that. So, all right, well, that being said, I mean, you do have a lot of reasons why you would want to sell this property. So you sure you don't have a price?
Yeah.
And if they say, well, just make me an offer, the reason why I say it is I'll flat out tell them, there's no chance in hell that I'm going to offer you more than what you're about to tell me, okay? So if you force me to give you a number, you're probably going to be upset about it because I'm blindly making an offer based off of internet information and whatever you've just told me over the past 7 minutes. I have to be conservative.
Yep.
But if you give me a really good number right now that's a win-win situation, I'm going to say yes. So that's probably the better way for the majority of people to handle cold calls.
Yep.
But you still need to ask for the price early on.
Yeah, I totally agree. And not only that, but, you know, I think that there's, you know, when they hit you back with, well, how much will you give me or what's your offer? You can come back around to it. You can ask questions about the property. And I would do that all the time and say, you know, well, tell me a little bit about the property.
Right.
Right. And then they start talking. And the more I would find, the more that they started talking, the less that force field was, you know, kind of holding them back from me. And then they're like, listen, man, you know, if I can get whatever, and it's usually around Zillow price or something like that, then I would sell it. And sometimes that works, sometimes it didn't. It just depends on where the area was.
One of the things that I've seen that really works and what you just said is if you say any question, if it's financial, property condition, occupancy, timeline, whatever it is that you choose to ask a question about, wherever they steer that conversation, you have to stay on topic with it. One of the biggest issues I've seen, specifically watching a lot of seller calls, I'm doing like this King Closer React series on YouTube. And by the way, I did one on you.
I know.
Did you watch it?
I didn't. I should. I will.
So one of the biggest changes that are problems that I see is when someone says, well, here's property condition, and then all of a sudden we decide to change the topic to timeline.
Yep.
Or they're talking timeline and we change it to financials. And it's like they just told you what's important to them. And when you stay on topic, there is like something clicks in the seller's mind where it's like you're listening and you care about me. And it only takes maybe one or two questions, and then they open up and they release that guard. And then that's where they'll say, all right, man, I mean, really, if you could just give me X amount of money. That's what I need.
Well, I think it also comes with confidence.
Yeah.
And confidence in the mindset that you have going into these conversations. And the only way to build your strong mindset and confidence is by actually being good at it.
Well, evidence breeds confidence.
That's it.
Right?
Skills.
And
having the skills.
And here's the thing. You can borrow my evidence. Like I say this all the time. I mean, I have continuously done this on YouTube live for people to see. Whether it's Closers Olympics, doing it live at events, there's nothing special about what I do.
Yeah.
There
is something special about what you do. You do it a bunch.
Yeah, exactly.
RJ, that's the point I'm trying to make is, listen, you need to talk to 1,000 property owners. Just talk to 1,000 property owners. You're going to feel better. You're going to get better. You can use everything that RJ's saying, everything that I'm saying. You can download all the scripts. You can listen to all the podcasts. You can get it on all the YouTube. You could be at a Tony Robbins event changing your state of mind. And as soon as you're supposed to pick up that phone and press go and call somebody, something stops you.
Yeah. Listen, I did a seller call review
just do it.
inside of my community the other day, and the guy is brand new. I mean, we're talking brand new in the industry, and he got a signed contract. It was a 9-minute close, 9 minutes. There was about 45 seconds of talk time in the call. 8 minutes and 15 seconds they awkwardly sat in silence, and I'm doing the seller call review, and I'm like, what are you doing right now?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm comping. I'm trying to figure out. And I'm like, ask a question.
Yeah.
Something.
Keep it
going.
going.
At the end of the day, what did he do that most people won't do? He took that action. He took a step.
Yep.
He didn't have any fear of being like, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to get off the phone. He sat there, and eventually he said, this is what I can do. The seller said, I'll take it.
How many property owners do you think you've talked to?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I don't... That's a really good question. If I had to guess, it's got to be somewhere between 20 and 30,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
but why? Aren't you a visionary? Aren't you an owner instead of an operator? Why would you have that many conversations with property owners?
You know what's funny about that is every time I do it, amazing things happen in my life.
That's it. Well, a lot of people want to delegate that really, really, really soon. And I see that being a big mistake.
Yeah,
I do.
I mean, listen, I go through periods of time where I don't talk to sellers for a while. Yeah. It's not what I do on all day, every day, unless I come up with some 50-day challenge that I'm going to do it for 50 days straight. Right. But I actually talked about this morning with our community. I said, embrace moments, and you never know when those moments are going to come. I said, I was walking in a hallway at Family Mastermind. Guy says, I need to talk to you. I listened to him. Next thing I know, he gives me 30 leads to call. I could have easily said no to that moment. And because I said yes, that was property leads owner. I got 3 signed contracts. Kyle Bigger?
Oh, okay.
I got 3 signed contracts. And we have now counted it up inside of our community since that live just a couple weeks ago. There's probably over 100 signed contracts inside of our community from property leads. And like, that's almost that's a heavy burden to kind of think about, where it's like, dude, I could have been a complete ass about it and been like, no, dude, I'm going to the restroom. Like, or that's great. I've already got Lead Zola. I've got Speed of Lead. I don't need another one. But those moments can make a huge difference. And I also could just say, I'm no longer going to call sellers live anymore. I've got the accolades. You know, I've won the Closers Olympics. It's almost a risk. Why would RJ take that risk? Why would I go live? What if I fumble up? What if something really bad happens? I don't fear that because I think more people take away from the failures as much as the victory. So, dude, I love picking the phone up and talking to sellers.
Yeah.
I mean, you wear a shirt every day that says talk to people.
That's
it.
it.
It's what we're supposed to do.
It changed my life. I mean, this industry is so incredible.
Yeah.
But if you're not having consistent conversations and making offers, nothing happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have a choice. I mean, you really have a choice. And I look at it, and let me know your opinion on this. But whenever somebody's asking, or somebody joins the Rhino Tribe, or they're looking at getting started or advancing their business, I look at what market are you in, what's your experience level, what's your budget, and what's your schedule.
Yep.
And based on that, I can craft the right marketing and lead generation machine for you. But without understanding those 4 things, it's really difficult. You can't it's not just a cookie cutter, okay, everybody just go make cold calls.
So
well, if you work all day long, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Then you're going to go, oh, okay, well, I'll try to do it here and there. You're never going to do it.
Never gonna
right?
do it.
But you can post every single day to social media that you buy houses. You can go and friend everybody in Facebook and have a bunch of people that see that you buy houses. You can go and send text messages, right? And respond to those. You can go send like direct mail, sniper. You can go buy paper lead.
Yep. Listen.
You know what I mean? Like,
when people come into Titanium University, new part of the sales script for a university is, what's your budget?
right.
We have to know that you have a
Have
budget.
to.
You have to. I literally recorded a video the other day that says, if you don't have money, don't join. Because I'm going to ask you to spend money.
Yeah.
Okay? Once they're in, I ask them 2 questions. What's your hedgehog concept? And what's your time availability?
What's hedgehog concept mean?
So hedgehog concept is mine is I am a nationwide virtual wholesaler.
Love it.
That is, by nature, it defines everything I do. So if I'm at my random Thanksgiving dinner, okay, and third cousin comes over to me and says, RJ, what is it that you do again in real estate?
You a realtor?
Yeah, I say I'm a nationwide virtual wholesaler.
Yeah.
And they say, what does that mean? I do marketing in all 50 states.
Yeah.
I never go to the houses. I do everything from my office. And my only exit strategy is I wholesale it.
Awesome.
Now they understand.
Yep.
Most people don't have something outlined on what their business, they cannot say it in one sentence.
Right.
Well, sometimes they do innovation, and every now and then you got to build passive income. So you got to have the rentals, and Pace told me to buy a couple of sub-2s, so I did that, and it's like, it gets convoluted, and it's like, that's what almost killed our company in 2018 and 2019. I remember being right here in this building and literally having to leave this building before recording a podcast to go check on a flip right down the road here in Phoenix. I had one flip going on here in Phoenix.
Yep.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't live here.
I don't know. Yeah.
I should have just wholesaled it to you.
For sure.
You would have bought it. I would have made 20 grand.
Right.
Instead, I lost like 60.
Right.
That was dumbassery.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid that? Having a hedgehog concept. If it doesn't fit inside of that, I say no to it.
Why is it called a hedgehog?
Because it was an analogy, and it was Jim Collins.
Yeah,
wrote
I
Good to
remember
Great,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So there's 2 things. You can either be a hedgehog or a fox.
Okay.
Fox chases all the shiny objects.
Yeah.
And all the hedgehog worries about is not getting eaten by the fox. So as the fox runs up, he just curls up, and the fox never wins. The hedgehog his only job is not to get eaten by the fox.
Awesome.
So he always wins.
Awesome.
Fox never wins.
I have this like vision that like you grew up and you were like, your dad or your mom was like this great salesperson and they're just having you on their knee the whole time and teaching you and grooming you to be this. Is that your childhood? Were you always involved in sales? Does your family have like some crazy Texas background where they were like auctioneers and they were doing all the sales and all that?
None of that. But my parents were entrepreneurs. They owned an office furniture business. They started in the early 90s.
Awesome.
But prior to that, they both were salespeople for office furniture companies. My dad worked his way up to vice president, and then decided to start his own business. I probably get my personality in sales from my mom and her dad. My grandfather and I have very similar personalities, very loud and just boisterous. But what's funny about that is you've seen me at events. I'm actually standoffish, introvert.
Sure.
Like, I don't have a problem doing this. I don't have a problem talking to sellers, but for the most part, it's because I'm passionate about what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm out and about, I want to stay to myself.
Yeah, sure.
Know? But sales is, I never actually considered myself good at sales until 2020. when I did the Closure Olympics. And people were like, dude, I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't think I had anything special. So now it's kind of consumed my life. I walk around with, literally every time I travel, I have to carry these everywhere I go and talk about sales.
Yeah.
Is it sales though?
I think sales is service. So I think solving the problems of property owners is how we get paid. I mean, you have to be able to provide for earned income. You have to be able to provide equal amount of value.
Yeah,
so what's
but
the value?
Buying.
Yeah, but the value that we have to the property owner is we make it as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
That's the value that we have. The value that we have is maybe it doesn't go on the internet. It's not traditionally sold. They don't have to hire and be around a real estate agent. They don't have to go through inspections and repairs and all these other things, right? And it's the speed and convenience that typically happens with a cash offer. So you have to have expertise to be able to do this. If you don't, it turns into a nightmare. And I think that's the value that you provide.
Every time I'm around you, you change my perspective on something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I believe it. Listen, here's the thing. And the other thing that's really important, and you mentioned it before, value is determined by the buyer.
Yeah.
We determine the value.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're talking to a property owner and, if you want me to throw out the value sight unseen, I'm going to have to take into consideration all of my experience and all the mistakes that I had in the past to avoid all of that. And it might not be an offer that makes sense to you, right?
I've probably said the words take into consideration more than any other human being in existence. I mean, it's just, that is when we are talking about that's going back to the 4 buckets of sellers and that seller that highly motivated, but the price is wrong. Mm-hmm. That's my go-to saying where it's like, I have to take into consideration the condition. I have to take into consideration the speed that you want me to do this. Dude, I think you're absolutely right. And I've never really thought about it from the perspective of the value that we're bringing and we're solving the problem as sales. I've always just kind of made it more black and white where it's like, because I don't like the fact that people feel that they need to have sales training to be able to close deals.
Well, I think people just need to have, I think there needs to be training in how to ask really good questions and then listen to the answers.
Yeah.
Most people don't know how to do that.
Don't you think, okay, in this industry, I mean, you have trained thousands of people.
Yeah.
Do you think there's more of a need for people to understand how to close deals or how to evaluate deals?
Close, for sure.
Really?
100%.
That's crazy.
100%. I could give you a very easy calculation for most properties. Probably 83.2% of properties is just a percentage of Zillow.
But they at least have to understand how to get to those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can broad strokes. I think that if you find a couple comparables, I think that with technology now, if you take Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com, smush all those valuations together, divide it by 3 to come up with an average, you're going to be pretty close.
Yeah.
In most markets.
I would agree with that.
And then if you're 50% of that or 25 or 35. So if it's above 250, you're at 50%. If it's between 250 and 100, you're at 35%. And if you're at 100,000 or lower, you're at 10%.
Yeah.
If it needs... You're going to get a deal.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I say this all the time to people where I'm like, they say I struggle with underwriting. I struggle with comping deals.
Sure.
And I'm like, just be more conservative. Be more aggressive with your offer.
But also, if you really want to know, you call up a real estate agent if you're not working in that area because you're virtual. You call up a real estate agent that sells properties in the area and you say, hey, listen, I'm buying this house. I'm going to totally fix it up. Once it's fixed up, what do you think it'll sell for?
Or you could just be a systems junkie like me and just sign up for all of them. PropStream, Privy, Batch.
Yeah.
Anybody else got comping softwares? I'll sign up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's when you start out, you're right. Is it a deal or not a deal? That's the toughest part. Is it a deal or not a deal? That's at least the apprehension that I had was like, I don't know. It seems like it's a good deal, but I don't know if somebody will buy this. So you go to an investor and you go, hey, listen, would you buy it at this price? And they go, no, but I buy it at this price. Yeah. Now you have a buy price that you can work with. And so I think it's a little bit of trial and error there. I think there's a bunch of really good disposition companies. I think anybody in your marketplace could reach out to you and go, hey, RJ, I have this deal here. is this something that you could help me sell?
Yes.
And you'd be like, yeah, that's a great price.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
But to your point on where we are,
But closing, bro, getting somebody, asking them to sign the agreement to move forward, to get it done. I mean, I think that that's a natural progression of all the work you did up front, and that is a skill. It is truly a skill. It's exactly what Tony Robbins is saying, and I don't know why I'm bringing him up twice in one conversation, but I just saw this TikTok with him on there, and I talked about it on my live show Wednesday. Great salespeople have to be comfortable with rejection, right? Yeah. There's that part of our brain that we all have that's like, okay, if I get rejected, I'm kicked out of the tribe.
Right.
I don't want to do that. I am telling you, most people will never get past that part of their brain. The second part
I live in that part of my brain.
That's what I'm saying.
I have no problem with that.
But Tony Robbins would argue you were born that way. Okay. You weren't made that way.
All right, but here's how you can become that way.
Yeah.
All right? Stop thinking about it as they're telling you no.
Right.
And get to the point where you're telling them no.
Sure.
If you can do that, you're not getting rejected.
Well, that's why outbound versus inbound is way different.
But it's also how you just navigate the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's outbound.
Yeah.
Right? Using the cold call example earlier on. Brent, do you want to sell? Yes. How much do you want for it? You don't want to give it to me. I'm telling you, what did I say?
Right.
I told you no.
Right.
Who rejected who?
Yeah. You did.
But what did you just say? Human beings can't. I kicked you out of the tribe.
Right.
How'd that make you feel? You didn't like it. That's what you're saying. You're literally saying people can't close deals.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to feel rejection.
Yeah.
So what happens when you make a seller feel rejected? I didn't want your piece of shit house.
Then they either
piece of poop house.
They either give you a price or they negotiate.
I thought we were on my channel.
That's all right,
man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're good. We're all adults there.
Here, my
Some
thing
of us
is
speak French.
When you embrace no.
Yes.
Okay. So like my KPIs on Lead Zolo were 1 out of every 7 lead was a signed contract.
Love it.
Speed lead, property leads, 1 out of 10. What I tell everybody is it's me saying no 9 times.
Right.
Me saying no 6 times. And
so maybe
yes.
that could be the secret to all this.
So
you know what I mean?
But how do you get to the point where you're making a decision? Stop saying you make offers.
Okay.
Do you want to sell? Yes. How much you want for it? Tell me what's going on. And eventually, at some point in time, you're going to have to say, okay, my offer is this.
Right.
The ideal close is that whatever number you land on, I'm saying yes to.
Right.
And I never even say a number.
Right.
That's the ideal close.
Yeah.
So a full example of that is do you want to sell? Yes. How much do you want? $200,000. Tell me what you got going on. It's vacant. It's distressed. It needs repairs. I really need to sell. I keep asking questions. You feel comfortable. Then you tell me if you could just get 180. Because that happens all the time. Sellers naturally just talk themselves down because they're feeling some kind of a way. And then I walk you through the credibility side of things. So I say, well, here's how this is going to work. If we can agree on a price, then I'm going to send you a simple agreement. Once you sign it, I come out, I walk the property. Everything looks the way that you told me, then we're good to close on your timeline. If not, then we'll have to revisit price and timeline. But with that being said, if I cover all the closing costs, no realtor commissions, buy it as is, what's the best price you can do for me? 10 to 20% price drop every single time. What's crazy about that is I see people getting that 10 to 20% price drop using that line at the end of the conversation when they didn't even do anything inside the conversation to earn it.
Right.
Terrible conversation.
Right.
Terrible, no questions asked, and they're still getting 10% price drops. And it's like, so they went down to 180. We get them to drop another 18 grand. So now what were we at? 162? I say, okay, what's your email? That's the ideal close. And then we chop that up and we put it in a 45-second reel, and Steve Trang and Eric Brewer want to go on there and call me an order taker.
There you go.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a manager at Pizza Hut, so I was pretty good at taking orders.
There you go.
So maybe that's what led to this.
Delicious. I love Pizza Hut. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, if you get to the point where you can say no to their price and be comfortable walking away because you've talked to enough people to get enough leads in, it makes sense. And I think that's really it.
Because here in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Phoenix was crazy. Like, you were competing against so many people a couple of years ago.
Still, I mean, I will tell you this, because we've really transitioned to more inbound leads than outbound leads. We are one of 3 offers every time. Every time.
Never you're the only person.
Well, not from like no, I can't say that. I would say 70% of the time it's 3 offers.
So how hard is it for your team to pull away?
They can't. I mean, it's literally you have to go in and you have to try to pull. You try to get the information of what's the offer that they have, and can we beat it or not. If we can't beat it, we're not gonna waste our time with it. But we're real competitive, and we're really good at just sitting down with them, having a conversation, really working through the process to really get the discovery. And I think once we get the discovery, that's why people work with us.
So when you say sit down with them, you're still doing belly to belly
Oh
appointments?
yeah, as soon as possible.
So see, that going back to the hedgehog concept, like, you're a Phoenix wholesaler.
Maricopa County, yeah.
Maricopa County, belly to belly, wholesale.
Oh yeah.
That's your hedgehog concept.
That's our thing. Mm-hmm.
And see, it's funny because you called me about doing some virtual stuff.
Yep.
Well,
we looked at expanding for sure.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game because.
Well, and that's something that I realized.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to make that transition with my current team right now, I think would cause a lot of problems.
So
and we're having the best year ever. So we're like,
I'll do probably somewhere between 5 to 10 deals in Maricopa County this year.
Yeah.
How? Because I beat you with speed on a very small amount of deals. That's it.
Yeah.
But that's why I have to be nationwide.
Yeah.
I can't run my company based off of that. Otherwise, so many sellers are going to be like, but, Brent's company, they're coming out today. I can't compete with that.
Right.
I'm at the point now where I'll just say they're probably going to be a better fit for you.
Yep. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But across the country, where we're getting leads in so many different locations, there's not going to be 3 different people to come out and make an offer. 3 people that are going to come out and sit down belly to belly.
Right.
So that's how we win those.
I love it. And how do you sell your deals?
Investor lift.
Investor lift.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I say that. Investor lift is a tool that enables us to dispo our deals.
Right.
We have an entire dispo formula. Just like we have the acquisitions formula, there's a dispo formula. I personally feel like sales is on the dispo side. That's where you have to have skills.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we got spoiled over the past 4 or 5 years. Well, not in the past year. All the way till the end of 2022 when interest rates went through the roof, world stopped buying. Now all of a sudden you don't have hedge funds every corner buying your deals. You have to actually go to mom and pop investors and actually explain to them why it's a deal and sell it, specifically in some of these random locations. I mean, there's probably a solid 10 states that all the investors don't even know what wholesaling is.
Right.
I mean, isn't that a shame? Like, the whole state of New Hampshire doesn't know who Brent Daniels is.
What?
Just saying.
Oh, they got to change that.
I'm just saying.
I'm coming for you, New Hampshire.
You try to dispo a deal in New Hampshire, and they're like, "What? Are you a broker?
Are you
Yeah.
What is this scam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this legal?"
I get it.
It's like they reverted back to the 1970s. They don't know what it is. But when you have investor lift, it tells you who the cash buyers are.
Yep.
How many deals they bought, what they bought it for, how long they owned it, if they were able to sell it or not. So for us, it's pretty simple. Like in your scenario, if someone in the community comes to me and says, "Hey, RJ, can you sell this house in Snowflake, Arizona?" You know where Snowflake is?
I do.
We did a deal there.
Awesome.
Can you believe that?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
Really?
it's a nice little community.
I had never heard of it before.
Yeah.
It took us a minute.
That's where the alien abductions were.
Really?
Fire in the Sky, the movie. Snowflake, Arizona. I had a football camp there.
Did you?
Yeah. In high school.
High school. Before Northern Arizona.
Yeah, sure.
Before you became a lumberjack.
That's right.
I got you. But we were able to go into InvestorLift and see like, hey, we have 2,000 buyers, and the buyer score tells us their activity. And then we're able to go in and see like, hey, they bought right around the corner, and we've already got their contact information right there. So
how important?
Cold calling.
How important? Once you get these leads in, let's just walk through it. A typical lead. So property lead sends you a lead. How fast do you have to get on it?
Immediately.
Because
they're going somewhere else.
Guys, this is the most important thing of this conversation. If you're going to get inbound leads, you answer them live, or if somebody fills out a form, you need to be on the phone calling them within 1 minute.
Yeah.
We track that in my business.
I mean, dude,
we literally track that.
It's literally insane. I mean, if you wait, someone asked the other day, they were like, hey, a lead came in at 10 p.m. Should I call? Well, it was 10 p.m. Eastern, and their lead came in Pacific time. So I was like, well, it's 7 p.m. their time.
Yeah.
That's a normal time to call a seller.
Yeah.
And they weren't thinking that way. They were thinking it's 10 p.m., it's time to go to bed. So they sent them a text. They closed the deal via text.
Nice.
That's how motivated that seller was.
Sure.
What was happening? That person is sitting there on their cell phone, and they see an ad. But why did that ad pop up in their life? Because their Google history has been, need to sell my house fast. They're trying to find a solution. Dude, I had a house in Jackson, Mississippi that I bought. It's a funny story. First ever podcast I went on was the Joe Fairless Best Real Estate.
Yeah, sure.
Super nervous, okay? At the end, he asked me, so how can people contact you? You know, like, what's your Instagram? What's your Facebook? And I said, my cell phone number.
Oh, yeah.
I just rattled it off. So 2 wholesalers called me, and I felt super famous because they listened to my podcast.
Sure.
And they were like, do you want to buy this? It was a property in Dayton, Ohio, and a property in Jackson, Mississippi. I bought them both for $5,000. Okay.
Each?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I was a real estate investor now.
Yeah.
So I'm buying properties.
Yeah.
And then I realized after 2 years of dealing with that terrible shitbox in Jackson, Mississippi, that I needed to sell it.
Sure.
So this is before InvestorLift, before we'd ever done deals in Jackson, Mississippi or anything like that. I just started Googling myself. I was the motivated seller.
Yeah.
I went to every freaking carrot website in Jackson, Mississippi, and not one responded. No one called me back. I could not get a wholesaler, an investor, anybody to call me back. This is what these people are going through. But what happens when you do that Google search? Now, all these speed leads, all the property leads are showing up in your algorithm right there. These people need to be contacted because otherwise they're just going to continue going down that rabbit hole of finding someone that eventually is going to solve their problem.
Yep.
And how do you end up with these, highly motivated, prices right leads? They're desperate. They're at the point where it's like, I will do anything to get rid of this because, quite frankly, our industry sucks at closing, lead follow-up, everything.
Yep.
So.
Well, and I think it's because there's no discovery. I think it's just very, how long have you owned the property? What do you owe on the property? What do you want for the property? What needs to be done to, how old's the roof? All of these things, right?
Brent, okay, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Do you tell your students to ask people how old their roof is?
No.
Because, dude.
The question that I ask the most is, what remodeling have you done to the kitchen and bathrooms in the last 5 years?
That makes sense.
Right.
The roof one, it kills me.
Right.
The roof's 5 years old. Now what?
Now they want more.
But if the roof is 5 years old, is it good?
Yeah.
Does it need to be replaced?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Is it a roof that's going to last forever?
Are you literally going to go back and search the hailstorm history in the past 5 years? Dude, we ask questions we don't even know what we want the answer to be.
Right.
It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why are we asking this specific of questions and going down these
So how
rabbit
do people get better at asking good questions?
Stop asking close-ended questions.
Okay.
Throw the scripts away.
You mean yes and no?
Yeah,
right.
How old's the roof? That's close-ended. You say 5 years old. Now what do I have to do? I have to ask you another question. This is why you need a script, because you have to have 28 questions asked to even have a conversation. But if you just say like an open-ended question, tell me what you got going on, okay? Then you respond with whatever your response is. My job during that time is to figure out what my follow-up question is going to be based off of what you're talking about.
Right.
You know what? One of the biggest things that's helped me with closing is hosting a podcast.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the analogy I use is you're interviewing me, right? Mm-hmm. You never know when I'm going to stop talking.
Right.
But you have to have another question lined up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to look like jackasses.
Well, and I think that a trait that is very overlooked is curiosity.
Yeah.
If you really are curious about a property, if you're really curious about what's going on with that person, you know, and more importantly, the person and the property, that's going to come out. You're going to be like, okay, wait a second. This person's having a good conversation with me. I'm really like, how can I see if there's a problem here that I can solve? And that's really what the discovery process is.
Yeah.
Do they have a problem that I can solve? If they don't, go list it on the market. Keep it forever. I hope you never sell this house. I do. Because I know long term it's better for them if they never sell the property.
Yeah.
Unless it's getting completely destroyed. But
to your point, another way to elongate a conversation, sometimes it doesn't even have to be another open-ended question. You could say something,
mm-hmm.
and specifically with someone who's a talker,
mm-hmm.
you could just say, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And they'll talk for another 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, you like that? Well, I got more where that came from. And then now you've found out 5 more minutes of information about their motivation, the condition, why they're wanting to sell. All of these things matter in the end to what you're trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. But if you could just really stay out of the way and just as simple of a question as possible, mm-hmm. to not try to go down this very narrow path. That's why when I pick on like the roof question, the HVAC question, the other day someone asked the seller, what's the rent rate? But it was a vacant property.
Yeah.
And it was owner occupied.
Right.
Now it's vacant.
Right.
Why are we asking this question? We can get that on Zillow. Mm-hmm. Like, ask questions that matter for the seller and make them feel warm and fuzzy, like you care about their problems. That will lead to the result that you want.
Love it. RJ, how can people get a hold of you? I know you got to go do the Steve Trangs podcast. How can people get a hold of you? I know that you've got some exciting stuff for people that
I do.
Listen, there's certain people that are going to hear this and they're like, I want to be in RJ's life. I want to be around him. I want him to mentor me. What does that look like?
So my cell phone number, no, I learned better. No, I'm not doing it on yours.
Do it. Come on, man.
I mean, hey, Pace did that to me.
Yeah.
He went on his. This is before he became the Pace he is today.
Yeah.
This is like 1X Pace.
Yeah,
like
sure.
40,000. He went on his Instagram story.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, RJ Bates is a great guy. Everyone needs to know him. His cell phone number is 817." And I was, dude,
gotcha.
My text blew up. So, anyways, how can you find it? YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. Go follow there. There's tons of videos, like you said, about seller calls. Had this guy on a couple times. Mm-hmm. I mean, you did pretty good on this stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
TitaniumU.com. That's our university. We just opened it up today, actually, for the third class. We limit it to 30 people at a time. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure you're the right fit. We want to make sure we can really make a difference, and also that you're prepared for this.
Sure.
But if you want to reach out to me, send me a DM on Instagram, RJBase3rd. I always try to get back to those. As long as you ask a question, it's a good one. Like, if you just say, hey, you're not going to get a response.
Well, you never know if it's just like a machine or something, and I don't want to talk to a machine.
Dude,
I want to talk if you're a wholesaler and you're going to ask some great questions or in real estate investing or an entrepreneur or whatever, great. Let's chat.
Ask a question, and don't ask if you can edit my short-form videos. How many of those do you get a day?
A bazillion. Unlimited.
Have you ever taken anybody up on it?
No.
I have.
I
Some
bet.
of them turned out pretty
Sure.
good.
Yeah. I mean,
There's talented people out there, man.
I just don't know if it's a bot or not. You know what I mean?
I
Anyway,
agree.
how many deals are you going to do this year?
300.
Nice.
I think that's what
Average deal size is
15,000.
woo, 4.5 million.
There you go.
Yeah, 4.5 million.
Why you spilling my beans, man?
Boom. I love it. If you need some money, hit up RJ. No. Anyway, RJ, thanks for being on here.
Thanks, man.
Always an incredible conversation.
Hey, hold on.
Yeah. You want some of that? You want some of that?
we're
Look at
not
these
there
guys.
yet.
Yeah.
God, you still got me.
There we go. That's it. Awesome conversation, RJ. Guys, check him out on his YouTube channel. He is trying to get that up, and he's putting a lot of love in there. He's putting out content every single day. And thank you for joining us. As always, I encourage you to go out there and talk to people. Love you. See you next time.